Hey everyone, James Labrie from Dream Theater, and you're listening to or watching the podcast Talking Into Infinity with JT and Brian. Enjoy this. These guys are extremely informative. I love their dialogue. I love their interpretation of the songs, who and what we are, what we were going after. They're very accurate in their interpretations and descriptions, and I just think this is a great show, and these guys are doing a stand-up stellar job. So once again, enjoy Talking Into Infinity with JT and Brian.
What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of Talking Into Infinity, a Dream Theater-centric podcast. I am your host, John. We are live on Facebook and YouTube, as well as talkingintoinfinity.com. We are live at these locations every other Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. If you have not done so and you are watching on YouTube, please click the like button, click the subscribe button, and obviously hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. Without further ado, let me bring on my esteemed co-host. I'm sure he's already got one foot out the door, pun intended. He is Brian Hendrickson. What's up, man? How's it going?
Dude, we are going to talk about there's two complete atrocities that were unleashed upon this earth that you continue to defend, and we are not going to talk about the Phantom Menace. So that leaves one other one.
For the love of God.
Spoiler alert. I'm not going to say what it is. But we also do get to talk about your favorite band of all time, or second favorite. I think it's your favorite.
Yeah. Van Halen's number one, Dream Theater number two. Yeah.
Fun. Not only that, but we're going to have a true expert on here to talk who knows way more than you and I combined. Which, no offense to him, that's not saying much. But I'm super pumped to have this guest on here, man. And I think this is going to be a great show and something different for us, man. We have a true expert on discussing all things Van Halen.
Yep. So yeah, real quick, we are about to bring him on. His legendary guitar writer, author, music author, journalist of God, man, he's almost 8,000 reviews. He's got 135 at this point, probably more books in print. I'm on his mailing list. I know he's done an incredible series of books on Rush. He's talked Black Sabbath and Van Halen, and I mean any band that you're into, hard rock, heavy metal, like he has definitely talked about. He's just legendary. And he recently released a pair of videos. One was best Van Halen song on each record, and the other one was worst Van Halen song on each record. And being the Van Halen honk that I am, I came across him on YouTube. I subscribed to his channels, and I hit up Aiken before I watched them, and I was like, man, this is the kind of thing I wish we could do on our show. Like, get the guy who makes these videos on and react to it live and kind of get his thoughts and kind of banter back and forth. And he says, well, I'm friends with Martin. Let me hit him up. I was like, really? And 10 minutes later, I get this text back. He's on your show Thursday, right? I'm like, yeah. So, yeah. So all of a sudden, within 10 minutes, we got Martin Popoff. And tonight we are going to be going through his list of the worst Van Halen song on each of the 12 studio records. So without further ado, let's bring him on. Mr. Martin Popoff, what's up, man? How's it going?
Hey, thanks for having me, guys. Very cool. Looking forward to this.
Yeah, dude. Thanks for making time for us. It's an honor to have you on. Like Brian said, quite a bit more than we do. So,
I hope I don't disappoint. I don't feel like a Van Halen expert, but we'll see.
Well, we'll see after your worst songs list here. We'll see. Okay. So yeah, I mean, so talk a little bit about what you've got going on right now, because obviously you've always got books coming out and I mean, any number of things. I'm on your mailing list and all this kind of stuff. So what do you got in the pipeline right now?
Well, I'm bored right now. I got nothing going on. So I'm putting my record collection into Discogs more than anything. And we're doing a lot of video shows on our video channel, The Contrarians. But no, I haven't had any book projects for a good couple of months now. But I do have 9 books coming out. So there's a lot coming that have been long finished. And I noticed Schiffer just announced my Aerosmith one. So I've got an Aerosmith one that looks at the first 10 years. And a few other things that I generally don't talk about until the publisher puts it up. But I saw that one went up. But yeah, so there's a total of 9 coming out over the next little while. But I've got nothing really going on, so we're really slamming in our video channel. I've got the audio podcast as well, History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff.
Very cool. So what led you to do the best song and worst song shows that you did? And for those of you guys who aren't aware, you can look it up. They're about 10 minutes a piece, so you don't get lengthy. Very to the point. And obviously you know a thing or two about Van Halen. I have your Van Halen at 50 book, which is absolutely kick-ass.
Thanks.
I'm a huge Van Halen guy, so I collect anything I can find. So where did the impetus come from? Was it just boredom, or is this something you like just kind of were listening to Van Halen one day and went, okay, what sucks and what doesn't?
Well, we've done like 1,100 shows with the Contrarians. I've been on Pete Pardo, Sea of Tranquility every week for 6 years. I guest on a lot of shows. So, we're constantly having talks about topics, right? How to do these bands and do maybe the same bands kind of over again. I don't know. I just saw people doing this best song and worst song thing. And I figured, because the other one that I've been doing regularly, so it's almost like I'm going through all the bands and doing 3 things. I've been ranking the productions, and now I'm kind of going through some bands and doing best song on every album and worst song in every album. They seem to be working. People like them. It gets people upset and talking in the comments. They do pretty good numbers for our little channel. We're not a very big channel, but it just seems to be a fun exercise. I mean, I always have my backup about ideas. There's a lot of ideas I turn down that I don't want to do. This is kind of marginal. It's in the middle. It's like not the greatest idea in the world. It's not the worst idea in the world. I like ranking the productions better as an idea, for example, right?
Right.
But yeah, it's just it seems to be kind of an interesting exercise to go through. But like I say, there's a lot of ideas that come up that I think are just dumb. So
nice. So I did wonder, when you say ranking the productions, I haven't gotten to any of those yet. Now you're talking about like the sound quality and all that. I assume.
Yeah, literally take the whole catalog and rank them. How we've done shows where we rank the album covers. But yeah, just ranking the productions of certain bands. I think I've done Van Halen. I've probably done about 15 bands doing that, and with this one, I've probably done about 10 so far.
Okay. So how difficult is it to rank the productions of a band, given that you might pick a band that's got like a 40-50 year career, and there's obviously you got to take the time period into consideration and the quality of gear used, and so like how difficult is that to actually put those in order?
I don't know. It's kind of I think one of my fortes is just talking about these abstract philosophical things. I hate a lot of the trivia falls out of my head and I forget things, right? But production just seems to be a kind of an emotional, a little bit subjective. And I've always kind of thought in that frame. It's pretty effortless for me to decide what I like, what I don't like, and as I go along, I talk about, all those big things about, how important an engineer is a producer engineer, is a producer just a visionary. It's easy to talk about high end and low end and how mid-rangey is it and screechy and is there distortion. So pretty quickly you can go through these things, but I am fascinated that when I read the comments, there are so many, adjectives that people use to describe production that it seems like they're on 2 completely different planets. Like somebody's muddy is somebody's dry, and it's so bizarre that you do realize when going through these that people can absolutely completely disagree with you. Like I've heard albums my whole life where I think there's no bass, there's no bottom end, and then people say there's so much bottom end on this album. A good example of that is the way people describe the friggin' Eric Carr Kiss sounds, for example.
Yeah,
it's so weird, how I don't really consider those albums to have big drum sounds, but people often, just smart people, say these are huge drum sounds. So it's funny that's kind of the fun of that whole thing, because it's just a bunch of subjective adjectives.
That's interesting. Yeah, I think Brian, where would you stand on that? Because we just had Mr. Speed on talking about Kiss, and we were talking about Eric Carr. Like, I think I agree with you, Martin. I don't know if I would call them big drum sounds. I think it's more you can kind of hear how hard he's hitting. But I don't think it's like I don't think every song sounds like I Love It Loud, God.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think I would agree with you. I mean, where do you stand on that, Brian?
It's all different styles for sure. I have a question for Martin. When you, I know you have such a massive discography. Are you listening to everything on vinyl? Is that how you make your final um, listen, or are you listening through headphones on vinyl, or your CD, or just curious because I know you
You
have
know
such a
what?
massive collection.
Because that's super important, right? And people get in the comments and then they're
Right.
comparing this remaster
Right,
versus
right.
that remaster and stuff. And I'm practically going from memory from
Okay.
20, 30 years ago and re-listening to it. Literally, honestly, I think the best stereo I have, it's ridiculous to say this, but I think the best stereo I have is my $99 subwoofer sitting at my desk playing off of Spotify with two tweeters, two little things on my desk pointing right at my head. It literally sounds better than my home stereo. And my car stereo sounds amazing too. And it's just a stock car stereo, right? So yeah, we could get crazy with this and compare everybody's stereo, then everybody's stereo settings, and then everybody's cartridge, and then all the different remasters and vinyl versus, and then there's remixes, and
Right.
yeah, it can get nuts. So it's I don't know, I'm sure if we go on Steve Hoffman forum and stuff, we can get really granular about every Led Zeppelin version and find the best one and all that. But no, I'm not at that level.
Okay. Yeah. I was just curious what you use, because when you talk about, when you're comparing all the production, what are you used to listen to, to hear those nuances? Because I know, like I said, when you're driving around your car as opposed to your phone, as opposed to the people that are the pure vinyl files, everything does sound so different. Like I'm amazed at how much better everything does sound in your car, either right off of a CD or right off Sirius XM.
Yeah.
It's just, you just get that power of the drums, and especially like the old metal or any newer metal stuff, man, those tones and everything, you can feel that stuff when you're driving, whereas opposed to just kind of sitting on your phone with your iPod, iPods in or whatever, you can't hear that.
Brian, what I used to do the Van Halen one is I go to Wiki, you put in Van Halen Wiki or band Wiki.
Okay.
So you go to, you don't put in discography, you go to Wiki. And then when you go from the band to the discography, you can grab the discography. Then I use Word, and then I use Zoom. I didn't even listen to any of them again. I don't care. It's all from memory, right?
Okay.
For like most of these bands that I've been with all my life. So literally,
Right.
I use Wikipedia, Word, and Zoom. That was it.
Okay.
Yeah. It's looking like we may have to have you back on after this. If you're willing to come back on after this, we'll see what happens after the show. But man, we are having like a Rush discussion in the chat here, man. They are ready to talk some Rush. So we may have to have a Rush episode with you, man. I'm sure.
Yeah,
I'm
I've
sure
done
Brian...
the Rush productions. I've done the best Rush songs and the worst Rush songs already. So yeah.
Okay, you know what? Before that'll be my last thing, and then we'll get into the worst Van Halen song on every record list. So, did I hear right that you picked Red Barchetta as the worst song on Moving Pictures?
Got a lot of heck for that. And the Zeppelin one, I got a lot of heck for Stairway to Heaven. And in the Van Halen one, spoiler alert, I got a lot of heck for Secrets, right? So yeah, there's always going to be a problem somewhere, right? There is number one, every album has a worst song. It doesn't have to have a bad song, but it has to have a worst. And then every list of worst songs has to have a worst pick that gets the most to play. So that happened. But yeah, when I got to that album, it's like I went through all of the dark side of Moving Pictures and go, I love all these songs. And then I went through the hit side of Moving Pictures and go, I love all these songs too. Which one of all of them? I don't want to pick, YYZ because it's an instrumental. That's low hanging. So which one do I pick? And I'm playing Red Barchetta in my head going, yeah, okay, today I'm going to pick this. That's all that happened. Right?
See, that was kind of my thing. But that's a perfect segue. Thank you for doing that for me. Yeah, it's a perfect segue into this, because when I was looking at the 12 Van Halen records and having to pick a quote unquote worst song, I'm like, oh my God, like, what am I going to pick? And, we talked a little bit off air to see if you had kind of a rule. Did you pick Intruder? Or did you pick Happy Trails? You said no. So you actually picked actual songs, which is cool. Yep. But I, being such an enormous Van Halen fanboy, I had a bitch of a time coming up with I would say, least good song or worse, however you want to phrase it. Like, this was a very difficult exercise. So,
but John, you can't be that big a fan because the biggest Van Halen fans in the world complain about everything. So they can find lots of bad songs.
Well,
you got to go a little further. You got to put in another 1,000 hours, and then you're going to find out you know there's 5 or 6 that you want to complain about.
The biggest struggle that I have in my life, Martin, is staying out of the chat with the David Lee Roth versus Sammy Hagar argument. The David Lee Roth guys absolutely kill me, and I swear I'm developing a twitch from not responding to that conversation. It's so bad. So, all right, well, let's dig in here. So, guys, Martin is going to go through his list himself here live, but if you would like to watch his video of his choices for worst Van Halen song on each record, go to his channel on YouTube, The Contrarians, and click that subscribe button. Obviously, follow him, and he's got his whole ranking there. It's only about 10 minutes long. Like I say, it's concise, to the point, and he's going to do it with us live here. So, Brian, I think I'm going to start with Van Halen 1. I will go first here because I'm absolutely going to get crucified immediately right off the bat. And I will say that my criteria was, as I'm listening to the record, if I had to skip a song, which one would I skip? And some were easy, some were like, oh God, that's almost impossible. On Van Halen 1, I bring out the torches. It's an easy choice for me. I chose Ain't Talking About Love. And I don't know if it's because it's overplayed for me or it's just the most simplistic for me, but that's the one song that if I had to remove one off of Van Halen 1 for me, it would be Ain't Talking About Love. What about you, Brian?
That's a horrible choice, John, but this is you. So
I told you I'm going to get killed for this.
Even when I listened to it again today, I was like, should I do Running with the Devil? Should I do Ain't Talking About Love? And I'm listening to it, I'm like, wow, what a great freaking metal song. No, I don't want to pick any covers, but I had to on this one. I could not pick anything else. I picked You Really Got Me. It was just, to me, that was a no-brainer on this one. I could not in good conscience pick a single other track from this album.
Okay. Martin, what did you choose from Van Halen 1?
Well, John, I think your choice is horrible too. I think a lot of people would complain about that one big time. Because I think that's a genius, great heavy metal song and an amazing riff. I remember hearing this album as a new release, and I remember us thinking, there's a lot of weird things on here we're not crazy about, but what elevates this album is there are 3 or 4 heavy metal songs as good as a European band would do. And so Scorpions, Judas Priest is the first time we ever heard an American band be that good at heavy metal. So those ones I put aside.
Okay.
I didn't want to particularly pick You Really Got Me or Ice Cream Man. But there are 2 songs on here that I feel like they sound like dated old barroom rock and roll songs. And that's Feel Your Love Tonight and Little Dreamer. I think in the video I picked Little Dreamer, but I'm kind of coming around to Feel Your Love Tonight. I think it's very ordinary. There's just it's, we got Atomic Punk on here. We got On Fire on here. We got I'm the One on here. Feel Your Love Tonight is just a dull barroom Canadian rock and roll, crappy band that never made it sort of hard rock song.
We're off and running. Wow. He chose my favorite song on the record. Oh my God, this is going great already, man. If we were a clickbait show, we would already be accused of going for clicks here. It's fun. Like, I'm actually going to be at the Whiskey next April for a Star Wars event. They're doing a Star Wars convention in Los Angeles, and the pre-party is at the Whiskey, and they do a karaoke competition that I'm a part of. I'm like, dude, I don't care if I win it. I have to sing Van Halen on stage at the Whiskey. And honestly, by choice, I'm so leaning towards Feel Your Love Tonight. And if I do it, I'm going to be thinking of you the whole time, like Martin Popoff or someone going, boy, that's the one you picked.
Yeah.
Oh my God. All right. So, wow. I was kind of surprised it wasn't like You Really Got Me, but that one also has kind of like
we were not crazy about that as kids either. It's not that interesting a song. It's got a history of, oh my God, it's the first heavy metal song or one of the first kind of thing, but there's really not much to it. It's a pretty boring 60s song. They did an amazing job of it. Great guitar tone. It's totally heavy, but it's kind of dull. Yeah, absolutely.
So you said on the video that you thought you chose Little Dreamer. What is it about Little Dreamer that would have, at least, till now, had it in last place for you.
Yes, same deal. It's just a little lackadaisical, boring, brown feeling against all these songs with amazing fireworks. Even Running with the Devil and Jamie's Crime, we weren't crazy about as kids. They weren't super, super heavy, but they are interesting songs. I feel like they both give you less is more sort of feel. But Little Dreamer just sounds like, again, it sounds like a song written in 1973.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I thought about that one, but I'm like, you know what? That for me provides some interesting color to the album, I think. So for me, I kind of like the different vibe from the rest of the record on it, but
the color's beige.
Brown.
Yeah. So, all right. So moving on to Van Halen 2. Brian, why don't you take the lead on this one? What did you pick from Van Halen 2? This was difficult for me, so
I was this close to You're No Good. I decided to go Out of Love Again. To me, it feels like this is left over from the first album. I don't know why. There's nothing really going on in this song at all to me that matches up to the rest of, the other stuff. Beautiful Girls, Bottoms Up. I mean, that's all to me that blows this out of the water. So I'll go with Out of Love Again.
Okay. I had originally picked that one, but I had seen something recently where it was kind of like a breakdown of Alex's drumming with the guitar solo. And when I went back and listened to the isolated track, musicianship wise, that song, as simplistic as it kind of sounds, there's a lot of like a lot of really simple, like one note stuff. And there's some really awesome musical stuff going on there. So I didn't pick that. Again, this was the first of the records where it's like, okay, if I have to skip one, what am I picking? Oh God. And I'll probably get killed for this one too. I did not choose You're No Good. But Kale asked, are we not allowed to pick covers? You can pick covers if you want, Kale. I chose Bottoms Up. And I think it's just because like when I'm listening to the record and I'm picturing it as a whole, if there's one song that was always a little bit less for me, it was Bottoms Up. And I mean, which is weird because it's kind of like a quintessential Van Halen song, isn't it? It's got that upbeat kind of, fun vibe to it, the David Lee Roth just talking about partying thing. And, but yeah, I had to go with something and I chose Bottoms Up. So, what did you have for Van Halen 2, Martin?
I went with You're No Good. I figured it was fair game because it's the first song on the album. They do a terrible job of it. They do a terrible job of the intro, and it's not a cover where they're going for cheap laughs. It's a bit of an obscure cover, so it's almost like where they're trying to fool people that it's an original almost. Not really, but I mean, it's not a You Really Got Me, right? And it's not haha like Ice Cream Man or whatever. So
Sure.
yeah, and I just think it's a ridiculous performance of it. I don't understand how it fits with this band at all, and it's crazy that they put it first on the album. So for all those travesties, I figured it was up for fair game to be picked.
Yeah, I think it's interesting you mentioned the sequencing on that because like why would you open the record with it? But then I've thought about that before. It's like, well, where would you put it? Because there's so many other great songs, and it's like that one is almost like the downer of the record. So it's almost like it would kind of be like a fart in church in the middle anywhere. Yeah. So, it's like it's interesting. So I completely agree. Like I don't mind the song because I'm not overly familiar with the original, but I feel like from everything I've read, if I and I've listened to it, and it is very, very different. But yeah, I can completely understand everybody making that choice. So, all right. So moving on to 1980s Women and Children First. This was one of the rare easy choices. I went with Fools. It's not a bad song. It's just kind of there. And I think definitely when I'm listening to Women and Children First, and it opens, coming right out the gate with When the Children or When the Cradle Will Rock, and everybody wants some, and they're like, what the heck? And then you listen to Fools, you're like, all right, this is kind of bluesy, but it does not help that song any that Romeo Delight is right after, which is just one of the most slamming Van Halen songs ever made. So, Fools is just kind of, it feels like an unfinished demo to me for some reason. So I went with Fools. What did you go with, Brian?
This one was super easy for me. I went with Loss of Control. I think it's complete stupidity, other than like, it's almost like the pre-chorus is good. The verse is terrible. The chorus is terrible. I mean, there's musically, it's a mess. Like, I guess I was reading, this is where they were, exploring their punk roots or trying to be super punk. It's just a stupid short song. And I kind of surprised that Edward would even attach his name to it. It's not even like a song, it's like a track almost. I don't know, to me, I think it's awful. It doesn't belong on this album or any other album, to be honest with you. I think it sort of hurts this album in a sense in ranking it, with stuff like that on there, to me.
Oh, interesting. Okay. What did you have for this record, Martin?
Yeah, it's funny. Now we're into a record where every Van Halen fan loves this record, but every many Van Halen fans can complain about Fools. They can complain about Everybody Wants Some kind of being a little bit underwritten. They could complain about Could This Be Magic being a little jokey. They can complain about Loss of Control in a simple rhyme. It's funny. It's like we all love this album, and the reason we love this album is the personality of this band and the Who-like explosiveness of them pulling off these very casual songs, right? And it's just the whole performance. It's the package that you get out of this. But in my video, and I'll stick with it now, because I love that you're reinforcing me on this, I went with Fools as well. I mean, as angry young metalheads, we loved that song because it was one of the good heavy stomping songs. But you're right, it's just there. There's not much to the riff. It almost feels like the first riff that you would invent when you first pick up a guitar in a garage as a teenager, kind of thing. There's just really nothing much to it. And Van Halen's kind of guilty of that kind of thing a lot of times. But yeah, it's as a deep Van Halen fan, I can look at much of this album and complain about a lot of the songs on it.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that about the riff, because I completely agree with that. It's going back to Van Halen 2 with Out of Love Again. I was mentioning it's a real simple riff, kind of like single note, but that one for some reason works, and Fools kind of doesn't. And I know this is going to be an absolutely terrible comparison, but it's just for me, it's always seemed like a heavy version, at least lyrically and vibe wise, kind of Hooligan, the Kiss tune off of Love Gun. It's like, oh, the high school goofy lyric, like whatever, the rock and roll, like, okay. Like it's a little too ham-fisted, I think, but
it's a little bit like Tobacco Road now that I think about it too, right?
Oh yeah,
a little bit,
sure.
Yeah. Great call in there. All right, so moving on to 1981's Fair Warning. God, this one was an absolute just pain in the ass. Brian, what did you have for this one?
Yeah, this was tough. I think the obvious one to me, Push Comes to Shove. I know it's outside the box, and this is where they're trying to get more outside the box, especially Edward is, that he can, but I think it's easily the worst song. I mean, you've got Mean Street, Dirty Movies, which I think is arguably maybe the best song they ever wrote in terms of riffs and drums and just production. I love that freaking. Hear About It Later, Unchained. I mean, I don't know what else Sunday afternoon, I mean, it's like, I don't know what else to put here, so it's got to be Push Comes to Shove for me.
Yeah, I felt like choosing One Foot Out the Door was a little bit cheating, because it's a song, but it's almost kind of like a half song, I guess.
Yeah.
But I love the groove, and especially following Sunday Afternoon in the Park. It's like it's just that dark vibe, and man, but so. Because One Foot Out the Door, to me, felt like it didn't count. I also had to go with Push Comes to Shove. But I do have to say that this is, again, like Van Halen 2. It's very difficult to choose one. And on Fair Warning, I'm a complete apologist for this record. I know that's not a uncommon take for Van Halen honks, but I absolutely love this record. And even Push Comes to Shove, I think, is fun. It's weird. Right in the middle of a weird record that has just enough of that, classic Van Halen punch and balls and attitude. So, again, if I had to skip one, it would be Push Comes to Shove. So what did you choose for this one, Martin?
In the video, I went with So This Is Love. I don't like shuffles. I think the chorus is kind of dumb. And this album has a lot of punctuation disasters, but that question mark always annoyed me as well at the end of that song title. But you guys have convinced me. You guys are very smart. So I'm actually going to change my mind for this show and go with Push Comes to Shove as well.
Wow.
And One Foot Out the Door was never up for grabs. I adore One Foot Out the Door. So
Yeah,
really?
I think it's a fun thing. I wasn't sure if it was like, okay, well, that song's like 2 minutes. Does it count?
Mhm.
You know, so
Yeah.
But yeah, so we gotta. So Doug McCauley, our good friend, good to see you, bro. He says, fellow Canadian, by the way, Martin. Just watching John pick a worst Van Halen song is like asking him to punch a baby. That is very, very accurate. JG is about to get banned from the show. He says, out here with the hot takes of Fair Warning being a good album. Tell me you don't like Van Halen without telling me you don't like Van Halen. I don't think there's a Van Halen fan alive that doesn't like Fair Warning. Have you ever met one, Martin? I haven't.
Well, and so here's the other thing about Van Halen that I find interesting. It's really, really hard to pick your favorite Van Halen album because there's no clear winners.
True.
And I see Fair Warning cited very often as the best Van Halen album.
Yeah, it's very difficult. That's a good point. I've been asked that many times. It's like, son of a bitch. I think we ranked them at one point, and oh my God, was that tough?
Yeah,
And
it's not a band with unanimous choices that just like win out way more than others. And there's a few UFO is a band like that, I think, as well.
Yep.
People have
Yeah.
a hard time picking their favorite UFO album.
It's so weird because Fair Warning is only 31 minutes long, and if you take out the last two, there's really only like 7. It's a strange band in that all these original first 4 albums or so, like, you don't get a solid 40-45 minutes. You're getting like 25.
Yeah,
30.
they're all short. Yeah,
they're all short, and it's like there's some stuff in there, and it's like there's kind of this sweet spot of like you only wish that a lot of bands nowadays had the editing to do that. You know what I mean? Just give us like 7 to 9 bangers, and you get these. I know we're a Dream Theater podcast, so I sound like I'm talking out of my ass here saying that. But it's like we don't need some of these bands that have been around forever that are putting out 12 songs, 13 songs. Yeah. It's like just give us 9 or 10.
And I think every Van Halen fan, like we all know these albums are short, and I think every Van Halen fan truly only likes 75% of every album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I can't comment on that concern. Mine's probably like 95%. Look, okay, so real quick, and then we'll get on to Diver Down. So around the horn, real quick. Kale says, no, it isn't. Someone said in the chat, 1984 is the best Van Halen record, and Kale says, no, Van Halen 2 is better than 1984. Which one's better for you guys, Van Halen 2 or 1984?
Brian?
Oh, man. God, I don't know. I'll take Van Halen 2, just barely.
I am shocked, but in the last, I would say, 5 years, I've decided 1984 is my favorite Van Halen album out of all of them.
I see, and I can't disagree. It's weird.
Yeah, I don't have you back on now.
Yeah,
I mean, I never felt that. I used to complain about that album all the time, and now I just realized mathematically, I go through the songs and go, you know what? That's got to win. It's got to win simply by the math.
Yeah, for me, it's I choose that one. And that's strictly based on the strength of the record. But I mean, for me, I know everybody's going with this, but I mean, 1984 is literally the most influential record of my entire life. But when I go back and listen to it without that lens, I'm like, this is a fucking great Van Halen record. Like, I mean, there's songs that people just don't talk enough about. Top Jimmy is so criminally underrated. It's such a great tune.
We're not there yet.
Okay, well, I'm fine, but I'm just saying. So I would take 1984. So, but we're not there yet, as you said, Brian. We are actually at 1983's Diver Down.
1982, I think.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me. The tour was 1983 at the US Festival and stuff. Thank you. I should have known that. I won a trivia contest with that. But so Brian, what do you have as the worst song on this record?
Man, I'm interested to hear Martin's take on this album, because this album is the most like just randomly thrown together, whatever. Like you could shuffle the entire track listing 40 different ways, and I don't think anyone would know. Like that's just, you got all the covers, the instrumentals, And I wish he hadn't said this earlier, but I already had it written down. I'm going to go Secrets. One of the rare times Edward Van Halen has a clean electric guitar sound. Back in those days, you didn't have the stuff that came later on, like Finish What You Started and all that kind of stuff. I don't know. Again, I don't think any of these songs even remotely fit together on the same album. Like this one definitely doesn't fit at all. Like, I mean, not even remotely.
Yeah.
There's kind of this Western, goofball theme, with some of the, I know Martin doesn't like shuffles or the boogie woogie stuff that's going on, the other stuff like Full Bug, which I actually like, but yeah, I'm just going to go with Secrets. I don't think it's an absolutely horrible song, but it's just a weird song to be on any Van Halen album, let alone this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to call you guys out on Secrets. I can't imagine that being the worst one. And I think that song is just awesome. But it's so different. Like you can't really go through the catalog and kind of think of a kind of another song like that that's real close to it. So I'm a big fan of Secrets, but yeah, mine, I was very close to choosing an original, but I didn't. I had to go Dancing in the Streets. I mean, it's a fine song and everything, but and maybe this is biased knowing the history behind the song. And I always feel like when I listen to the guitar solo, it feels like Ed did it in one take. There were flubs in it and he went, I don't give a fuck. Put it on the record. I'm done with this. But I was, and this, I might get killed for this. I was damn close to actually listening to Full Bug. I don't know what it is about that song, but ever since the day I heard Diver Down, that song just hasn't stuck with me like the rest of the record. So that was tough. But I mean, even the goofy stuff I think is fun. Big Bad Bill, Little Guitars is one of the best Van Halen songs there is, obviously, at least to me. There's just some great stuff on here, but yeah, Dancing in the Streets. That had to be my pick. So what did you go with, Martin?
Well, this is the one I got the most complaints about in the video, in the comments. I did go with Secrets. I didn't really want to go with a cover, but for covers, I would not have gone with Dancing in the Streets because I think you do a pretty good job of that. I would either gone with Oh Pretty Woman or Where Have All the Good Times Gone. Where Have All the Good Times Gone? I don't think they did a super creative job with it. It wasn't much of a song to begin with. Cool chorus. I like the chorus. But the rest of it's not all that exciting. So, I suppose just rising to the challenge of trying to pick an original, I went with Secrets. Again, it's a shuffle. It's a mellow shuffle. Don't like shuffles.
Man, you are a shuffle hater.
Yeah.
and Van Halen's got some badass shuffles.
Cathedral does the greatest shuffles, Yeah. The good big doomy, they picked it up from Sabbath, who do pretty good shuffles too. But I'm not crazy even about your Heap shuffles, and they're one of the most famous bands with some big hits with that. But
yeah,
Cathedral does an amazing job.
Man, okay, so that was a tough one. 1984 for me was damn near impossible. Again, there's so much on here. And when you go through and I have to go, okay, what am I going to skip? I mean, unfortunately I had to go with I'll Wait, but I love I'll Wait. It's
no way. Are you serious?
Yeah, I love it. Well, I mean, dude, come on. You're not cutting Jump. You're not cutting Panama. Definitely not cutting Top
I'd
Jimmy.
cut them before I'll Wait. That's for damn sure.
Wow. Now, are you doing that because they're overplayed to the nines, or is it because you actually?
I just think that's amazing. It's amazing, different kind of sound for.
I love I'll Wait. It's in my top 10 Van Halen songs.
Yeah, me too.
Well, I love it. Believe me. That's why I said this is impossible for me. Yeah. Like I love it. It's just, I mean, I looked at everything else and was like, oh, I can't not hear that one. And this one, I mean, again, this is, if you have 10 kids, and whatever, there's triplets and quintuplets, whatever 10 tuplets are, and you got to pick one and go, yeah, get out of here. That's kind of what this record is.
You don't get rid of the supermodel though, John. You get rid of the one that's at best like a 5 out of 10 on the look scale.
Oh,
he's not going to make any money. And he's going to be a loser. That's cool.
Well, there you go. All right, smart ass. Then what did you pick?
Okay, I'm prepared to just get equally crucified from you then. I was listening to the entire album, and I get to the very last song, "House of Pain," and what do I hear in this song that I didn't remember hearing before? You know what this song is? This is Mean Street. It's the riff turned about 90 to 120 degrees, just a little bit that way. The vocal delivery on the rhythmic way he's delivering it is almost damn close to Mean Street. The splashy hi-hats, which I know they do like all the time, but there's a real thing. I'm like, wait a second. I'm like, this is damn near, this is the poor man's, this is like the what do they call it? It's Mean Street like 3.0. It's not even 2.0 because it's not as good. No, you know what it is? It's a Mean Street AI. That's what it is. It's not as good. Yeah, it's Mean Street AI. It's nowhere near as good. And again, it's a hard album to pick the worst one on, but I was this close to picking Jump, believe it or not, only because it's a great pop song. I don't know if it's a great Van Halen song, and I even played in our band, and I love playing it, and I still don't mind listening to it, but I was close to picking Jump. I'm going to go with House of Pain.
Wow. Okay. So before we get to your choice, Martin, I'm assuming you're obviously familiar with the original version of House of Pain. Like Van Halen honks love to reference that as so much better than the album version. Do you agree with that or not, or disagree?
No, I don't think it's that much different. It's got the car horn in it, right? I believe it stops. And, yeah. I don't think it's that much different. I like the version on the album. The verse is crazy when Dave's singing. It's a nuts song, so that's pretty cool. But I even as a kid, even though we were angry young metalheads and everything metal is what mattered the most, there was a little bit of us saying this sounds a little old school. It sounds like a little bit of a lesser inspired song on, even though it's probably the heaviest song on the whole album.
Yeah, well, that riff, just like, and then like you rarely hear Eddie get that metal, quote unquote. So, all right. So what did you choose for this record?
Pretty easy for me. I went with Panama. I think this album's Everybody Wants Some. It's a little undercooked, a little underwritten, little dull on the riff. Ding, 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 ding. It sounds a little ordinary. Doesn't sound as high-minded as many Eddie riffs. I feel like it's a little bit of a jam, and we all have our radar up for Van Halen jamming too much because they're a casual band in so many ways with the short album, all that. When they do something that feels a little underwritten, it annoys me. So Panama's always felt like that to me.
Interesting. Okay, your fellow Canadian, you have beef now. He says, Panama is still my favorite Van Halen track. If it's anyone's worst, we have some major beefs we need to work out.
Yeah.
I always wonder, like, how much, hearing a song 8 billion times comes into play. And I tried to take that out of it, but it is difficult, because
that wasn't a problem for me on this one. It's too clearly the one. So,
okay. Awesome. All right. Well, now we get into the part of the catalog, which for me is, I would say, damn near impossible. I do admittedly prefer the Sammy stuff a hair more than the Dave stuff. So this is just wow. So all right, Brian, I'll let you start. So 1986 is 5150. What did you choose?
This is tough again because Inside, we talked about this. Is this a song or is this a track? Yeah. You said it has a chorus.
Well, that's what I said. It has a chorus.
I know, so, but is this really a song? I don't.
That's
know,
funny,
man.
Guys. You're right. It has a chorus, but
yeah,
but it doesn't really have verses in a way. Right?
No, it's just them goofing around in the studio for 5 minutes, and I don't mind it. I think it's kind of cool. You know what I'm going to actually go with, and here I'm going to get crucified. It's always kind of bothered me. Once it gets going, I'm fine, but Get Up. Here's what bothers me about it is it always reminds me of Man on the Silver Mountain, the Darren. Well, he does on that fourth time he goes through the riff or whatever, he bends it a little bit. So it's different, and it's that same riff all the way through. And I know that sucks we have to pick one. I'm not going to pick Inside because I don't really think it's a song. So I'm going to go with Get Up, and I'm sure I'm going to get crushed.
Yeah, this was tough. I did choose Inside because, again, I love it. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's fun. I'm a huge fan of the 5150 record. This is my favorite era of the band because you knew they were actually happy. There was no drama. You've got Live Without a Net, so you could see how much fun they were having. So hearing them goof around to me was interesting. Because that is a cheat, I do have a runner-up. Everyone's crushing inside in the chat. Disturbed 72 says, "What? They don't make it work? Make it work?"
Yeah, right.
So I do have a backup, and I don't know if I'll get killed for this, but the reason I chose this song is because if you take it out, 5150 becomes just like a freight train of tempo and attitude, and at least just it moves fast. I chose Love Walks In, and I really love that song. But if you take that out and you think about like the speed of the songs or the power of the songs, like that's the one quote unquote like slow point. Even Why Can't This Be Love is that driving kind of beat. Dreams, it's a ballad, but it's like that song is trucking. So I just pictured what the album would be without that one slow part. And so if I can't take Inside, I would take Love Walks In. So what did you choose off of this one, Martin?
This was an easy choice for me. This is my most hated Van Halen song of all time. Best of Both Worlds. I cannot stand that little goofy twee little high riff, which is a terrible riff and it played in a terrible way. And they obviously liked it so much that they used it for the verse and the chorus. Sammy bragging about how good his life is, those big clunky 4 on the floor type drums. Just everything about that song just rubbed me the wrong way from the moment I heard it. I just cannot stand it.
Wow. Best of Both Worlds. That is not one that I would have thought. I would have thought you would have gone with Get Up because it's not a shuffle, but it is like a, it can get damn close. Wow.
Yeah, those ones, I complain about those too because I don't think Van Halen was ever good at what we called OTT songs, over the top, and you get them on the David Lee Roth solo album too, Elephant Gun and Shy Boy. Hang 'Em High was a bit like that. When Van Halen plays that fast, that inherent personality of them being Who-like and explosive, they begin to sort of unravel. And they don't sound heavy either because Eddie doesn't want. He's a little bit like Richie Blackmore sometimes when he wants to just pluck away at and like sort of like suggest what the riff is with a couple of strings, sort of thing. And so when they play these fast ones, they almost never sound particularly heavy. They just sound frantic and nervous.
Okay, I could see that. Man, Best of Both Worlds. That's crazy. You don't like the 4 on the floor. I could see that. That one to me just is like, I mean, I don't have.
Tell me on that riff though. That riff is so bad and so pedestrian, so Sunday afternoon, and so
You're making me feel guilty for loving the song, but I completely understand but I totally understand what you're saying at the same time. So now I'm really conflicted.
I think what gets me about that riff is that it's like they do it in a couple different ways. And it's like normally with a band that doesn't have the chops, if they're just going to play the same riff over and over, you're like, dude, that's the same riff. But it's like the whole way through, but you don't really notice it, I don't think, with this. And the way that he does it in the verses, and there's such a great build. It's like kind of like, I don't know what I've been living on. And it's kind of like understand. And all of a sudden the chorus is the best. It's just huge. Like that is arena rock. And the chords are exactly what you need there. Some big, gigantic, wrung out, they're not power chords. They're just these big, like 4-finger. So I just love the power and almost like it's a little majestic, I would say, for me.
Did he convince you, Martin? Are you changing your mind now?
No,
I don't think I did.
I didn't think
agree with any of them.
I don't agree with the part that it changes it all. All it does is it goes from clean to distorted to heavy. That there's a slight little bit of a picking thing going on that changes the riff, but otherwise.
And isn't there that little part where they go da 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 da?
Yeah.
Like that little stupid jammy live little. Oh my God! Yeah.
All right.
The way that they like prance on the stage together, like the Michael Anthony in the one video.
Yeah.
So all right, I got killed for that. I'll accept it. I will take my beating.
Hey, I still love the song, but again, I totally understand what he's saying. So
No, I get it. All right, so I might get killed just for saying this, but OU812, the next record, 1988, that is probably my most replayed Van Halen album, and it's the one that I debate, I think, the most with my Van Halen buddies. This one was, it's so difficult, and I didn't pick AA Political Blues because technically that's a bonus track. But the rest of it, I'm like, man, what the hell do I skip? And I chose Source of Infection just because it does sound kind of unfinished.
No,
that's more like a jam. Believe me, I love it, and I love that Wolfgang Van Halen referenced it on his new album. Take one. But yeah, I mean, Brian, again, this is like an impossible record for me because I love that song. I mean, it's stupid, but I mean, musically, it's just fun as hell. And Eddie Van Halen screaming, but I had to pick one, so I chose Source of Infection. What about you? What about you, Brian?
I'm going to agree with you in one sense that this might slowly creep up into my top 3 for Van Halen albums, and it's definitely my favorite Sammy album. I think it's even surpassed 5150. I love this album, almost everything on it, and I'm going to pick the whole reason this album got insanely popular. I'm going to go with When It's Love.
Oh my God.
I think it's like, it doesn't fit the rest of this album at all remotely. It's the style. Probably neither does Mine All Mine, but the rest of it all like flows great to me. Like Source of Infection, I love. AFU, I love. Feels So Good is great. Finish What You Started is great. Black and Blue's kind of dumb. I know we're not supposed to rehash the entire track list here.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I'm going with When It's Love. I mean, I don't know. How do you know when it's love, Sammy? It's just like, it's just kind of stupid, and like the keyboards are kind of okay. It's, talk about a song that just sort of plods along. It doesn't really do anything compared to, I just love all the riffs on everything else so much on this. I'm going to put that one last. It's my least favorite song, When It's Love.
Well, Martin, you have earned the distinction of being on the very last episode ever of Talking Into Infinity, because there's no way I can continue on with this guy when he makes fun of my all-time favorite song, period.
Well, I'm gonna disappoint you. In my video, I went with Feels So Good, but now Brian's convinced me to change over to When It's Love. Because
yes,
I'm on an island.
We're starting to get not enough good heavy rockin' songs, so I appreciate when they are good and heavy rockin', and that's the whole rest of the album. So we got these two songs here to choose from, and when It's Love annoys me, and so does Feel So Good.
See, I can't fault you guys. I mean, I know the song catches shit, so man, that's just it hurts me. It hurts me in my heart. It hurts me in my heart. That's all I gotta say. All right, so 1991, we have For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge, which is also another damn near impossible choice for me. But there is one song that stands out for me. But Brian, what do you have as your worst choice off of For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge?
I'm going with something that's, again, another one that's kind of way outside the box for the rest of the album. And to me, it's kind of dumb. Pleasure Dome. I don't know. It's way too long for starters. I don't know half the time what he's even saying. I don't think it's a great chorus or anything like that. And I don't think the riffs are as good as anything else on the rest of the album. I think it kind of slogs everything down a little bit right after Runaround. You get this thing there. I understand they're trying to be different and progressive and heavy or whatever, but for me, it just doesn't really work. So I'm going to take Pleasure Dome.
Okay. Personally, I love that song, but it's a musicianship thing for me. I love the drums. I love the guitar, like the jog that it does. For me, it was a choice between two songs, and the one I chose was because the live version seems like it ends 4 times, and I'm like, wait a minute, wasn't this over? So that kind of annoys me. So the album version always reminds me of that, and that is In and Out. So I mean, this whole record just is amazing. But it was either In and Out for me or Man on a Mission, and I just couldn't pick Man on a Mission because that intro riff where he's doing like 2 different parts at the same time on the guitar is just so killer. I can't discredit him for that. So In and Out for me, just kind of okay. If I had to skip one, that would be the one. Which one did you choose for this one, Martin?
Yeah, I love this album too. It's my favorite Sammy album. I went with Man on a Mission, kind of funky stripper metal. Sounds a little ordinary, kind of thing. Reminds me of which one would it be? Beautiful Girls, a little bit Beautiful Girls to it. But yeah, and that as soon as they do that, I'm out, kind of thing. So
right. So a question for both of you guys. How close did either of you come to choosing Spanked? That song catches a lot of crap on this record, but I love the groove on that song. I know the lyrics are cheesy, but I just love the groove on that tune. So, I mean, did you guys, was that low for you? Was it almost a choice, or?
I thought about it. I even thought of Right Now a little bit, I mean, it is the outlier on the album, but that's
wow.
I mean, it's a pretty cool song, well put together song. Yeah, no, I think mine was a clear choice, Man on a Mission.
Okay. What about you, Brian? Where'd you?
I was actually, I had In and Out was my second, because I think it's so lyrically, even for Sammy, it's so beyond dumb, and that's going to lead me into how dumb the next one is I pick on the next album. But yeah,
got my favorite bass drum cymbal smashes in it. At the end when he's just doing that, I loved it. Yeah, the drums are amazing on that one.
Okay, I'll give you that. All right, so the last Sammy Hagar record, 1995's Balance. Yeah, this was again, this was another difficult one for me. A disjointed album, and even not knowing at the time when it was released how bad they were doing internally, you can really hear a darkness to this one. This is like the Sammy version of Fair Warning, I think. But Brian, I think I could see where you're going with this, but I might get killed for this because it's a straight up rocker. But when I go through all the tracks, I just, for some reason, this one for me is kind of like the Full Bug, where I said it like never really grabbed me like the rest of the songs. I chose Aftershock. That one for me, just like it's a great song, and it jams and it's powerful, but for some reason I think because there's so much other odd stuff on the record, it kind of stands out as a little too simplistic to my ear. And the album needs it, let's be honest, but yeah, just for me, it was Aftershock. What did you choose, Brian?
I have Big Fat Money, just because it's a beyond stupid title for starters. It's a really stupid chorus, and it's just like you can find something even as bad lyrically as Sammy is. You can find something slightly better than that. I mean, we go from Wham Bam, Thank You Amsterdam, to Big Fat Money. It's just a little, excuse me, it's a little too much to take in terms of just completely being dumb. And I think this album, like, it starts to kind of fall off a little bit right there. It's like it takes a bad turn. It's like super top heavy to begin with, and then when you get to Big Fat Money, you're like, oh God, what the hell is this? It recovers a little bit later, but I don't think Aftershock's a horrible pick either. I think this album, what's really great on it is great, and what's not so great is pretty bad, to be honest.
Wow. Okay. All right, what did you choose, Martin?
I went with Can't Stop Loving You. It's just the maudlin, sappy chords. It's very, very Midwest rock, very Henry Lee Summer kind of feel.
Nice reference.
I just feel like Van Halen, it can be, especially in the Sammy years, they would be very, very maudlin with their chords, very almost as corporate as you can possibly imagine a hair metal ballad to be chords. I've always said, Why Can't This Be Love is an absolute masterpiece. I think that's the best poppy song they ever did, and it's because of the sophisticated chord changes. I mean, the verse is just really cool and passionate. It just proves you can write a pop song and have it be smart. And something like Can't Stop Loving You with the oohs and the guitar tone and everything, and just that those chord changes, it just drives me crazy.
Okay, I could see that. I know that's the one song that, at least with my buddies, gets crapped on the most. Disturbed 72 says Henry Lee Summer. Geez, that's a poll. Nice. So there you go. See, that's why we have people like you on Martin. Like, Brian needs someone else that knows all these awesome musical references to bounce stuff off.
So Henry Lee Summer was the Michael Stanley of Indiana. Let's put it that way. That's
Michael
the best
Stanley,
way.
man. Yeah, that whole Midwest rock thing. I'm just fascinated by what that even means because, oh man, I hate REO Speedwagon like with a passion. Like it's one of these. I did a whole podcast episode on this once, but they're one of the consummate. What's the point of this bands? Why do you exist? What are these songs? What are you putting on these records? Like why are you doing this?
I would get killed if I mentioned a band that I hate that feels like that to me. Two of them actually, but actually I could say one out loud because I think he's a shitty human being. But John Cougar Mellencamp, I'm just like, that is that jangly Americana stuff. Like you hate shuffles, Martin. I hate the jangly Americana stuff. I'm like, oh my God, just stop. And then, John Cougar just being a total dick, just icing on the cake. So, Doug McCauley says, I'm starting to wonder who in Van Halen hurt Martin. His put downs are next level.
Well, it's funny, Doug. Like when you're doing a show about the worst songs, there's going to be a lot of negativity, and it probably is kind of false because we're not talking about anything positive here. So.
Right.
There it is. Oh my gosh! All right, so now we get to the albums that are difficult, but not because there's so much awesome material on them. All right, so we are at 1998's Van Halen 3, and I know a song that a lot of people would list here. I did not go for the low-hanging fruit, that being How Many Say I. I bounced back and forth between two songs, that being Once and Ballot or the Bullet, and I went with Ballot or the Bullet because Once is kind of like a soundscape, and it's like, okay, I can understand that's Eddie experimenting and layering and working with melodies, so it's okay, it's kind of pretty. Ballad or the Bullet sounds like they had just come up with the idea for the song, and they recorded it, said, here's the song. Like, it didn't go through a producer, it didn't go through anybody else, it's just, hey, the song's done now, the first time I played it, and the riff, I'm like, what are you doing? And it's weird. Like, that album to me sounds like, and I hate to be, God help me for saying this record to me as it goes sounds like you can hear Eddie getting into his meth and wine phase that we would become all too familiar with in the coming years, because the record gets weirder and worse as it goes. And Ballad or the Bullet is just clunky in every single way. So I went with Ballad or the Bullet. What did you choose, Brian?
Yeah, this is it's weird in how an album can be two things at the same time, right? It's the worst Van Halen album ever, and also it's the worst extreme album that was never made, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, this is a new level of, I don't know what the hell to call this. I'll go ahead and go along with you and say Once. I mean, there's nothing on this album that I could ever go back to and listen to again. The Fire in the Hole or whatever it is, that one, like, maybe isn't terrible, but there's just nothing grabs you. I don't know what they were doing here. There's not really jams, there's not really riffs, there's definitely not songs. It's just all completely thrown together mishmash. And I guess Once is the worst out of all of these horrible songs. I mean, I guess that How Many Say I probably should be, because that's like Tom Waits takes on the Beatles, takes on Eddie on acid or meth or whatever, like you said. But I'll just go ahead and go with Once. I guess it's all to me. It's terrible. It's unlistenable. And I even told you, I think it's borderline worse than Saint Anger, and I don't even think it's close, to be honest.
Oh God, no. There were Van Halen moments on Van Halen 3. There were not Metallica moments on.
I disagree.
All right. Well, maybe that's an episode we need to do then. So. Martin, what did you choose for Van Halen 3?
I think in the video I went with One I Want, kind of sweet and sour melody to it, no beat, piddly guitar kind of thing. But I'm coming around to Once. I mean, Once was my second choice, kind of an R&B sort of thing. So Once, One I Want, either will do. I agree. There's almost nothing good on here. When I did my best episode, I went with Fire in the Hole, and I wasn't super passionate about even picking that. So I guess I really don't like a single song on this album.
It is difficult. And the crazy thing about Once, like they did that extended cut. It's like 7 minutes and 40 seconds or something. I'm like, what is there to add? Why would you do that?
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
well, there's not a single song on this album that's under like 5.5 minutes, is it? And that's a crime for Van Halen. There should be no Van Halen songs over 4.5 minutes. I mean, I'm sorry. That's just a fact.
Because we know they jam and they're casual, right? So already they're really not writing super constructed songs anyways. So that's another reason to keep them short.
You know, have you guys ever seen, I don't know where to find it right now, but I know Van Halen News Desk posted it, but have you seen there was a guy that took this record and I think he cut out like the instrumentals or something, and he took each of the songs and re-edited them and said, well, I think there's too much fat. So I took out the parts that I think were too much goofing around.
Wow.
And I tell you what, like,
what are they,
I was
5 seconds long each now? To be tolerable.
No, it was interesting. And it could be just his opinion on what needed to go. Mm-hmm. But the stuff he took out, it made the songs all sound like the most generic songwriting you've ever heard. A, B, solo, chorus. Like, I mean, it was, and I really thought it would kind of improve it, like trimming the fat, but no, like, I guess what keeps this a Van Halen record is all that weirdness that Eddie put in there. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was kind of interesting to hear it that way, but yeah, I'm with you, Martin. This is to me, I think this is the Van Halen record that doesn't age well. I mean, when it came out, like, I was like, okay, I can get behind some of this. I don't mind One I Want. I was like, okay, it's, kind of upbeat. I know you're not into that, but Year to the Day is kind of Zeppelin-y. I thought that song was cool. So I was like, okay. But the more I listen to it as years go by, I'm just like, ugh, man, oh man, like not. Yeah.
You just don't smile. You don't have it on, and you're just not like, you're not like. And it's not like, okay, you can headbang and be like angry and like run or work out or smile, dance along with it or sing along. Like, you can't even sing along to it. Like, you can't like play air guitar to it. Like, I don't know.
Tim Morgan. It ages. It belongs in the grave. Yeah. So quick question on this one, Martin. Like, so if you remember, you did the production episodes on your show. Where did you have Van Halen 3 production wise, if you remember? Like, how far down the list was it?
I don't remember, but I don't hate the production. I mean, off the top of my head, it sounds
really?
like generally fairly. I mean, Mike Post is kind of weird, but it's not terrible. It's not lacking in bottom end. I don't think the high end is missing. No, production wise, it's kind of fine. I mean, Van Halen has very eccentric productions, and let me just go through them all in my head. I mean, I'm thinking really all of them are pretty cool, and there's a lot of radical different kinds of productions, and I'm kind of on board with all the productions. I don't think any of them sound bad. So no, and this one, yeah, that was fine. It's just the songs and the song titles and Gary not fitting in the band, and this guy being from Boston, and you think that doesn't really fit, and he's kind of an intellectual, and he just doesn't fit with these guys.
Have you ever heard the Mitch Malloy song, the one that he finished, that was like they kind of gave it to him to do when he was trying out for the band and was about to be there? Have you heard that full Mitch Malloy
I just can't remember it now.
Okay.
No. Yeah.
I was wondering, because it's because there's a version that Gary Cherone did out there, so you can actually compare them side by side. And it's like, I would be interested to hear your opinion on it, because Mitch Malloy did much more of a poppy take on it, but it sounded like a Van Halen song. You're like, okay, that sounds like a Sammy Hagar Van Halen song, or whereas the Gary Cherone one was kind of weird, and I mean, it was so odd to hear the two different takes on it. So.
And to hear Gary kind of singing a little bit like Sammy, and then being goofy like Sammy, and like, hey, I'm the beach party guy thing, and you don't believe him. It's just not believable, right? The boasts, the trash talking.
Yeah. All right, so I don't even know if I need to bring Brian in on this last record, because Brian, at some point you need to bring a doll onto the show and point to it and show us where a different kind of truth touched you, because like, I do not understand why you absolutely detest this album as much as you do. So You had to pick a worst, and I told you can't pick the whole damn record. So, what was the bottom of the bottom for you on this one?
Oh God, it was kind of a toss up between Bullet Head and As Is. The thing about Bullet Head, like the only thing that saves some of these songs is when you get the classic harmonies going. There's certain ones that don't have those, and those sound terrible, like Bullet Head. Like it just sounds like a quick 2.5 minute song written in 2.5 minutes. There's nothing redeeming about it. I guess I'll just go ahead and go with Bullet Head. Again, I put this on and I'm like, okay, I kind of remembered a little bit of Chinatown from before. I sort of remembered Tattoo, which isn't great, but I remembered She's the Woman only because it was, but the rest of it, I'm like, I don't even remember any of this. And that's worse than being bad, is just being like completely
Forgettable.
Forgettable. Like, I mean, yeah, Cale, you could say the riff rocks and stuff or whatever, like fine, but not for Van Halen level, man. This is like nursery school, like this. If there was like a 7th grade band that put out something that sounded like Bullet Head, I would be like, this is cool, but not for Van Halen, man. Come on, this is not the bar that should be for them. And I don't know. I think that's what bums me out. It's just, you want something to be so good so badly, just like Phantom Menace, John.
Well,
but it's not
that movie.
But it's horrible.
Shut up, man. You don't know anything about Star Wars.
I wanted this to be good, and it's worse than bad. It's boring.
Oh God. JG says, I don't know what everyone's general opinion on this album is, but I really like it. The worst thing about it is that Michael Anthony isn't here to sweeten the vocals. Yeah, I loved it. I was super nervous about this record, being, the Van Halen honk that I am. And I was like, oh boy, like, we're coming back, but please don't be one of those shitty comeback records where you're waiting for your favorite band to put a record out after like 20 years. And it's just, you could clearly tell that there's rust and dust all over it. And but I didn't get that off of this. I was nervous when they put out Tattoo as the first single. I was like, ooh boy, if that's what they think is the best song on this record, like, that made me really nervous. But thankfully that was not the worst song on the record, at least where I'm concerned. I actually went with Big River because there's really nothing memorable about it to me. And I honestly, I think this record might be a hair too long. I think it was 2 songs too long. And so, but I can deal with Beats Working because in hindsight, knowing that it was their final recorded work and everything, there's kind of a poignancy to it. So I kind of listened to it with that kind of outlook. But yeah, Big River to me, I know it's like a reworked version of one of the 70s tunes, but okay. I love a lot of other stuff. And Brian, I got to disagree with you on As Is. I do got to bring that up because the super drop tune, couple of things that Ed did on this record, I thought were cool as hell. Like hearing Eddie just because Martin, you were talking about when they get fast and everything, it loses the heaviness and it loses that kind of vibe. I thought he did like tune the guitars heavy, but it kept that, especially like Honey Baby Sweetie Doll, just it had that sludgy groove, that like power Van Halen confidence to it. And one more comment, somebody in the chat said, Chinatown. I don't really remember that song. Yeah, neither did David Lee Roth. I saw him like 4 times on this tour, and that guy couldn't get the lyrics or the timing to that song ever. It's like you do realize that your band wrote this song, right, dude? Like you could, I don't know, try and learn the cadence and the lyrics to it, maybe. I don't know. But in any case, Martin, worst song on A Different Kind of Truth.
Yeah, this is a strange record. I mean, we just love the fact that they just went balls out so heavy on this. It's their heaviest album. It's the rawest, the least keyboardy album. Well, obviously the early stuff doesn't really have keyboards either. But the point is it absolutely rocks, and that idea of it is incredible. But then you come away eventually, and then you think of it a little more soberly, and it's like, all the songs on here are like, they got a ceiling of like 7.5 out of 10 kind of thing. You don't hate any of them. You don't love any of them either kind of thing. It's just this uniformly, these songs are pretty good, but that's kind of it. And I think another thing that kind of bothers me about it is David Lee Roth sounds a little bit too jokey and into his own wordplay and intelligence kind of thing, right?
Yeah.
And tossing them off a little bit, like you think of the chorus to Bullethead, right? It's kind of ruined by him just kind of sort of phoning it in, kind of thing. So, anyways, there were a lot of choices. I went with You and Your Blues. Which I find just kind of a despondent there in the middle sort of song. Big River, I thought about. Tattoo is the one that most people would pick. I think statistically people are going to pick Tattoo. A lot of people, when I heard that as an advanced single, I thought it was okay. I kind of liked it. And to me, that song feels like the most finished song on the album. That sounds like the most professionally and soberly put together and not so frantic and just crazy energy to it. So I like that about it. Many of them could have been picked. And I just went with You and Your Blues. And we know, obviously, there's other ones where you can feel that 1974, 1975, we're not that great a band yet, right? Or sort of thing, or whatever, early 76, 77. Some of them feel a little barroom rock and roll-y as well. I think there's a lot of choice and just not enough to get super excited about, except for the fact that, wow, they turned in this album that is not commercial at all.
Yep. It was, yeah. I mean, I think the one thing you could say about it is that Eddie was on fire on this record.
Yeah.
I mean, if you like Edward Van Halen playing guitar,
yeah,
that is everywhere on this album. I will say I wasn't able to talk you out of Best of Both Worlds. I am so tempted to try and talk you out of this one.
I can be, right? I can be. To me, it's it's just wallowing in that 6 out of 10 range. I don't hate it.
You could pick 5 other songs that are terrible on here too, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Brian, what did I tell you? Good Lord. Like honestly, You and Your Blues that is my favorite on the record, and it has been ever since I heard it. To me, that song sounded like the most classic Van Halen to me. I'm thinking of the elements, like you've got those big soaring backing vocals, like the harmonized backing vocals, you had all that stuff with Eddie and Mikey back in the day, and it kind of had like that cool kind of bouncy dance-ish kind of groove to it, and it was just kind of that upbeat David Lee Roth tune that people really got into back in the day. And I felt like to me, feel wise, it felt the most like a classic late 70s, early 80s Van Halen song. And something about the melody to it all was just, it was cool, and David Lee Roth has an interesting lyric on. I mean, I hate to give the guy credit because he's terrible these days, but he really did write some kind of interesting lyrics, throughout his career. And I think on this record, he wrote some really great stuff. But that being said, I will agree with you, Martin, on the fact that he was really buying into his own press on this. I think that was so obvious. I mean, it was Blood and Fire is like told you I was coming back. Tell me you miss me. Say you mean, like, dude, come on. Like, seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, geez. So, I don't know, Brian. We're gonna get into this record at some point on our show, and we'll be hollering at each other.
I refuse to listen to it again.
Yeah. So, all right. So there we go. There's the worst song on every Van Halen album. Martin, thank you very much for coming on and doing this with us. It was so much cooler doing it without your actual video. Like, it was cool to do it live. I appreciate that.
I was surprised when you say you were going to play the video. I'm thinking, well, I don't want to sit here and watch myself talk.
You could be an avatar like Kiss.
God, I'd be cringing at that. And so I like I say, I printed out the list and I figured I'd just go through it from memory.
So which of these records was the most difficult for you to choose a worst quote unquote song from?
Well, I would say, because I love 1984. I mean, Panama's a little, I'm not hating Panama to death. Let's see. And I do buy into just the overall magic of Women and Children First. I just love the grittiness and power of that album, and I think everything does stand together. So I like all the different experiments on that one. So I'd say those two.
Okay. Brian, what about you? Where did you find it was the most difficult for you to pick a quote unquote worst song? Usually,
I think he's muted.
he likes to do that. Yeah, so
Hey, did you guys hear me on that one?
You know what? After your takes about different kind of truth, maybe keep that mute button on.
All right. The hardest one was actually different kind of truth because they were all sucked so bad. No, I'm gonna say I'll say Van Halen 2. I mean, I guess You're No Good probably should have been a no-brainer, but it was the cover and I didn't want to pick it. So yeah, Out of Love Again. I mean, I know what I said about it now, and I take it back. It's amazing. So yeah, I'd say probably Van Halen 2. I mean, I think that's as close to perfection as it got for them, even maybe a little bit more than the first album, honestly, in my opinion, just song to song to song. Yeah, I'll go with Van Halen 2.
So our good friend Cale McLeish, all the way from Australia, he says, this has been one of the most concise episodes of Talking Into Infinity ever. That's good. Might have to have you on more often, Martin. Apparently we're just rambling other times. So, so Rob Brian, how do you pronounce this? Rob Karhukangas or?
He's from we call him Canadian Rob. I met him on the cruise. He's friends with the Potter Than Hell guys.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so Canadian Rob.
Yep, that's what we call him.
Yeah, he says, awesome to have Martin on. Best music author. Great episode.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for me, oddly enough, it was OU812. Because that one I just didn't want to pick anything. I was like, man, I don't skip anything on that record. So that one I think was the most difficult. 1984, I agree was and then Fair Warning, but yeah, I think I would definitely have to say OU812 was my biggest source of agita, I think. So yeah. So
cool.
All right, well, on that note, we'll let you get out of here, Martin. Thank you once again for coming on. This was awesome. Hopefully we can have you on again sometime.
Sounds good. Sure.
Definitely got to talk some Rush for Brian. I'm going to figure out what his favorite record is and just spend a good half hour just absolutely obliterating it. So, yes, he likes to do that. But yeah, plug all of your stuff. Tell everybody where they can find you and all the stuff you got coming out. And
Well, yeah, so we got a video channel called The Contrarians. I've got the audio podcast called History in 5 Songs with Martin Popoff. MartinPopoff.com for the books. All these books behind me here. The Big Fat Deep Purple, the Big Fat Dio, the Iron Maiden. So MartinPopoff.com. I sign them, send them out from my office. Big part of my income every year is being a mail order guy of my own stuff, right? So I've got about 39 of my 135 titles available. I squeezed it down a little because of a bunch of tariff stuff that went on, and that's about it. We've got an AC/DC podcast as well through Pantheon called Kicked in the Teeth, an AC/DC podcast I do with John Gaffney, and that's about it.
Awesome. So we do have a comment here from Rich Hattery. He's the drummer for a phenomenal Kiss tribute, probably the best one. There's Mr. Speed. He says, Martin, I dig the Kiss at 50 book. Sorry to switch bands.
Thank you.
He's a huge Kiss guy, so does the Eric Carr thing. But yeah, so thank you very much for coming on. Hopefully we can have you on again. I'll put you in the green room real quick. We'll talk in just a minute, and we'll get out of here. But yeah, we'll talk to you real quick before we jump off. So thank you very much, Martin. We'll talk to you in a second. All right, so there he goes, Martin Popoff. That was awesome. That was like that was so much fun, man. I'm telling you, that's right. Like, what was it? Was it Doug that said, like, yeah, watching John trying to choose a worst Van Halen song is like watching him punch a baby or something? Like, yeah, this was like pulling teeth for me. I'm like, oh my God, I have to say something bad about Van Halen.
It's like watching John trying to figure out which bowl of pasta or pizza he's going to turn down.
All righty.
I know you've been eating healthy, though. I shouldn't say
you got to get the fat joke in at least one a show. So
no, I said you're big for your age. I never said you were fat.
That's amazing.
No, it's just messing with you. No, dude, that was awesome, man. His like depth of knowledge on this stuff is like way up here, and I know I'm down here, so it's like it's great having somebody who's like that schooled on it and has that much history listening, and by being a biographer of all these bands and writing about all this music. It's great. I need to start diving into some of the stuff that's out there that he's done, and for sure, man, if he would be so kind as to come back when we do some type of Rush episode or whatever else, I'm sure everyone would love to have him on again.
Yeah, for sure. No, that was, man, I can't thank Martin enough. Guys, go check out all of his stuff. that contrarian side of his is really cool. Like I said, the videos are really concise. They're small little bites, but there's a ton of information in there. As I said, he did worst Van Halen song on each record, and he did best Van Halen song on each record, and they're each like not even 10 minutes long. They're like 9 minutes and something. So you could get in and out. I mean, he is, as Brian said, just so incredibly knowledgeable, and it was an honor having him on. So guys, that'll do it for us tonight. So thank you guys for checking out another episode of Talking Into Infinity. All you guys in the chat were awesome as usual. I love all the ball busting. JG3 finally shows back up in the chat, and he's this close to getting banned from the show, but as we know, we don't ban anybody. But yeah, so we are going to be right back here in 2 weeks. The date will be, let me think, because we'll be into April. I'm always bad when that happens. It'll be Thursday, April 2nd. So we'll be back here at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Guys, again, if you are watching on YouTube and have not done so, please remember to click the like button, click the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell so that you are notified every time we go live. And don't forget to go check out the new single from Operation Mindcrime 3, which came out yesterday. Interested to get your guys' thoughts on that. We'll be talking about that one for sure when the record comes out. But until then, one more time, we'll see you on Thursday, April 2nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Till then, I am your host, John. He is Brian. And as always, guys, Carpe Diem.